punchline, then Celeste said her line, and I had my punchline, and crickets, nothing, nothing. I was like, well, shit. So that whole week, we're getting laughs other places, the show's building, but that one was meant to like close the act. It was meant to be a nice big laugh, and we were getting nothing, and it was driving me nuts because I felt it was my fault.
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought they were doing their thing. Well, so we get to opening night, and the New York Times is there, and the Village Voice, and all the big papers, and they loved the show. We got a really good review, but um, we got to that line, and it died. The whole thing died again. That one spot, and I was really frustrated. Well, this was a repertory theater, which meant as soon as the play opened, a week later, you started rehearsals on the next, or just a few days later, you started rehearsals on the next show during the daytime. So we started rehearsals on the next show, and I had an appointment that week with our voice and diction teacher. This gentleman ran the voice and diction section at Juilliard, very, very well-known voice and diction guy. And I sat down with Robert, and I said, look, before we start working on the new text for this new play, I've got a question. I'm having trouble with this one bit. And he said, oh, you mean that bit in Act 4 where you're not getting the laugh? And I said, thanks, Robert, thanks a lot. And so he said, Sean, you're not saying the line correctly. I said, yeah, I am. It's verbatim. He said, no. That's not what I mean. You're not saying it right. He said, tonight, instead, when it comes to your turn, don't look at Celeste to say the line. Look straight out to the audience, say the line like I'm going to show you, and then look back at her. So then he made me say the line. It was slightly different, just slightly different. But he said, say it to the audience and then look at her. I said, really? He said, yes. You'll get the laugh. So that night, we get up. The show's going great. I'm a little nervous. We come to that scene. Bob says his line. Celeste says her line. I look at her, then I look straight out to the audience, say the line exactly the way he told me, look at her, and it brought the house down. So the moral of that story is sometimes it pays to mimic someone else's delivery, because in the mimicking of it, you go, oh, I get it. It's like when you actually do it, you can hear it and sometimes get it, but other times when you actually do what the other person did, you now appreciate what was required to actually get it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I'm going to leave you with that. So as you work on this other book, when you hear me do something that's interesting, that you think's interesting, you're like, why did he do that? Go back and mimic it in your recording. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think I partially have a wrong mindset because I'm looking for the
what?
Trying to think the stuff that really gets out there, and you're so experienced that you have it down to a science, and it's not. I don't know. I guess I'm expecting the theater stuff, and in my head, and I'm not. So I'm like, okay, because I'm getting involved in the story, is what I mean. I'm getting involved in the story, and I forget to listen. And I'm like, okay, go back, listen again.
Right. Well, that's what that is you're developing this part of you that's going to be the director.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm talking about. And that just takes time. Once again, the more you practice, the more you'll start going, And that really sort of leads into talking about your homework. So now I didn't see, now I was going to ask you, well, let's actually go down the punch list. So you were looking for proofing work. Have you been able to pursue any of that?
I unfortunately put that off to the side because of everything that's been happening. I don't multitask well, so I figured another thing that I would have to think about might not be so good. So, but if you wouldn't mind to keep asking me about that, because I would like to look into that, if nothing else, but for the experience.
Okay, but I sent you some stuff to people to contact, correct?
You did. Would you mind to send it to me again? It may have gotten lost.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me just double check here. I'll do it while we're talking. Otherwise, I have to do it through this. So let's look under sent. Come on. Sent. Andrea. There you are. Okay. Scheduling. Proofing. Here we go. Proofing opportunities. Oops. Okay. Said I'd send it next week. That's interesting. I don't see the email that contained it. Okay, so you have to make a thing then. I'm not going to be able to access that information because it's on my other computer.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is, I'm not going to get home until mid of March. So toward the end of March, send me an email, make a note, ask me for that further information. Then I can send you all the documents. Okay.
Okay. Let me type that down. All right. Let's get cheap keyboard here.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just don't have it. I just don't have it in front of me.
That's fine.
Here.
I just want to make sure I get this right so I don't forget. You said in the middle of March?
No, at the end of March. So
end of March.
Send me an email somewhere around the 18th, 19th, or 20th, somewhere around there, and just say, hey, Sean, can you send me that stuff about proofing work, and I'll be happy to send it to you then, okay?
Yes. Awesome. I will do that.
Okay. So... Okay. Okay. So, and then, have you continued to look for possible material for a demo?
I have. I will say I keep getting not distracted, but I'm like, I want to do this. No, I want to do this.
All right. So, what we're going to be looking for, though, and this is part of today's lesson too. Once we get going, yeah. So you need to. Okay, so let's keep that in the back of your mind, and then because we're going to talk about an exercise that we're going to work on together that will help us sort of start to peg in on your sound, as it were.
Awesome.
Okay, then you did your bio, and your bio looks fine to me. Although you might want to also put in. I mean, I like the fact that you talk about how tenacious and persistent you are. If you can think of something that you do that's sort of, I showed you the other bios. It might be like, when I'm not busy, working on audiobooks, I'm doing Taekwondo at my local dojo, or I'm, I don't know, some little slice of life thing. Okay? So in other words, let's see. I know it seems silly, but it gives us another aspect of you.
No, it's not silly. I'm just laughing. Like I said, I don't multitask very well, so I'm trying to minimize everything in my life, and there's not much I honestly do.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, this is fine as it is, but if you think about it, if something sort of springs to mind, and it could be anything. I mean, the fact that maybe you love to bake, or maybe you love to watch sci-fi movies, or it's some little thing that just says, I'm a real person.
Gotcha.
Well,
okay. I have two things that I like to do if I have extra time. One of them is read books, but wouldn't that be too kind of cliche though?
Yeah, that'd be sort of within the same thing. So what's the other one?
Taking walks in the woods.
That's perfect. So something like, you want to change the language slightly, like when I'm not, running 100 miles an hour, being intense, whatever, I decompress. I like, shit, hang on. Can you hang on for just a second?
Yeah.
For a second, right. You there, Andrea?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. You have to bear with me while I'm talking to you. My daughter's... I need to send something to her when I talk to you, and she needs it right away.
You're good.
So anyway, so put something like that in there. I mean, once again, it's like, I love to walk through the Tennessee forest or whatever. I mean, something just... the only reason I make you do it is because all the books I've ever read about marketing and advertising is when we get a feel for the thing or the person, something outside of what they do, it just lends a certain level of
humanity.
Yeah, exactly. It just lends a certain level of real, like this person's a real person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
All right. So, um, I'm just trying to. The Wi-Fi here is a bit dodgy. Okay. So then, um, so what I want you to do then is tweak your bio and put it up in Hightail.
Okay.
Okay. Um, um, all right. If you hang on for just a second while I talk to you, I need to try something on my phone. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'm typing, so I'm kind of doing stuff.
Okay, that's fine. So then let's talk about Jane Austen while we're doing this then, okay?
Oh my gosh.
This was about listening to mine, and this is about tempo modulation.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it was going to be a challenge because what I'm asking you to do is to learn how to think faster and read faster and all that stuff. And it's tricky, okay?